Hey folks, we're here for another Unspoiled review with Eston Walden. Today we're covering A Snake's Path by Kenneth Arant, and it's narrated by Travis Baldree. So, start out with, we have, for the book, it's a 4.25, narrator got a 5, and overall 4.5. So, let's go with Uniqueness to start with. So we're into book 2 of the series, and so some of the uniqueness kind of dies out for me. It's still, fairly unique. It's, all about a monster trying to protect the ones he loves, which is, not something you see all of the time, but it's not any different from the previous book. And, he grows up and tries to become powerful in some pretty unique ways that I'm not going to ruin yet for you guys. And so overall it's still pretty interesting and unique, so I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 for uniqueness. And then into the character development, this book is such an interesting book series for that. So book 1 and 2 are both very similar. The character grows way faster than you feel like is reasonable. Everything kind of goes his way. The cool parts, he gets really powerful, he gets cool powers, but it just feels unnatural. It feels hard to, relate to. He actually grows so powerful that he actually has to leave his loved ones for a period of time. And so the book itself is it does have a lot of character growth in it. It's just hard to relate to. So I only gave it a 4.5 out of 5 for that as well. On to the secondary characters. I gave it a 4 out of 5. This book has quite a few secondary characters, but you don't really get to hear or see them much. The few times you do, it feels like, they're living their own life, they're doing whatever they feel like they need to do for their families and stuff. But you just don't hear about them much, and so they don't feel like they drive a whole lot of the story. And so, I only gave it a 4 out of 5 for secondary characters because, you could have removed all of them from the book and it wouldn't have been, hugely different. And so, magic system also gets a 4. The magic system is, very rarely explained. They do have cool magic that happens in the book, but it's more of like a plot device. It's a way to accomplish a task for the main character, not something that is really investigated and exploited and utilized. And so it only gets a 4 out of 5 for the magic system, but that's fine. The book is still very interesting. The system, we learn a little bit more about the RPG system type elements, but even that doesn't give it enough for me to give it over a 4 out of 5. On to narration. Once again, we have Travis Baldree here. He does a fantastic job. Displays a wide variety of emotions for the main character. When the main character is angry, you can really feel it come through. And so the dynamic voicing is an easy 5 out of 5 for this book. When it comes to the vocal cast, it's also a 5 out of 5. I feel like it's a little bit easier because we don't have to hear from the side characters a huge amount, but they all have very unique voices, and they when they feel frustrated or angry, you can really tell that, and it feels different than when someone else gets frustrated or angry. Easy 5 out of 5 for vocal cast. Once again, I think this book would be fine for middle-aged and middle school aged and up. Potentially some slightly adult topics to be talked about, discussed by parents, but a fairly easy read. Humor, good mix of humor and serious. This book is a little bit more on the serious side than I feel like the previous book was. But either way, it still has a little bit of both. Romance, there is some romance at the end of the book. I won't go too much into detail into that, but that does happen. And that might probably should bump the rating up to high schoolers and above because of that. That's definitely something a parent should look into. Action, tons of action, gore, quite a bit. It's not crazy, but it is enough to help you feel like it's realistic. And so, very reasonable amounts, in my opinion. And I found it highly engaging. That's one thing that's weird about this. There's a lot of categories I scored it low on, but I wanted to read the next book immediately afterwards, and I did. It was fantastic. It's a great book. And that's it. Just an overview. Book 4.25, narrator 5, overall 4.5. So thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. I feel like I should add another category, something like pacing of a book. Like, this book goes a little bit too fast, I would say, in its pacing, and could spread out the plot, across a larger timeline to make it feel more reasonable. But in general, feel free to comment on, differences of opinions or whatever you want to. And thanks for showing up. There'll be some links below for things that I'm interested in, that you might be interested in, but that's it. See ya.